Hello everyone, welcome to a World of Warship Blitz video. Today's video is the Tier 5 Russian tech tree battleship, the Pyotr Velikiy. So the Pyotr Velikiy is a newly released ship, part of the early release for the upcoming Soviet battleship tech tree line. As a Tech 5 ship, as a Tier 5 ship obviously, it gives us a bit of a sense for what the line could look like. So I have done a stats comparison video for this ship. Where it ends up is that the hit point total is slightly less than the New York at about 34,200, and the armor values are very similar to the New York, so a very tough ship, apart from the fact that it doesn't have the New York's incredible torpedo damage reduction. So it has about 12.5% citadel protection, 12.5% flooding and fire resistance, 13.5% damage reduction, which is best in class, which is good to see, and 13.5% torpedo reduction. And as stated, the obviously American battleships well and truly beat that. So although it's very similar to the New York with slightly less hit points, what it gains is speed. So this does about 25 knots, making it the second fastest Tier 5 battleship behind the Congo. The Britannia with its speed boost, I'm not sure what top speed that has, but still, this is relatively quick, although other ships aren't too far behind. Where it does lose out is agility. This is the least agile of the Tier 5 tech tree battleships, with a base traverse rate of 4.8 degrees per second, which is all the other battleships at least have 5 degrees per second. So don't expect to be doing too much in the way of fancy manoeuvring in this ship. And it will be one of the challenges the ship faces, and especially at higher tiers, is that agility, where the destroyers and obviously the YOLO runs and the close-in runs by destroyers are going to be a bit of a challenge for these battleships to deal with. Its guns are very capable. They are probably the largest alpha damage. There's 8 of them in 4 turrets, 2 in each turret. At 1467 or something AP damage, that's the highest damage at Tier 5 amongst tech tree battleships. However, be aware that they have a 23-second reload. That means that if you punch the precise aiming skill and fire off your shots, unless you have a captain spec'd for the improved duration of the precise aiming, you will only ever get one shot out under those precise aiming conditions. And even if you do have a captain spec'd like that, be aware that they will give you maybe a second or two to get the second shot away. So if you're not already lined up with the second shot, and I'll have to say that's often not the case, you'll find that you're back to just getting that one shot under precise aiming. Does it need it? Well, the dispersion isn't great. The dispersion isn't poor. I would probably describe it as pretty much average battleship dispersion. So I don't think, there's nothing there to write home about. As you can see, we fired out at an end on target, only got one hit on. So horizontal dispersion, it does spread the shells out a bit, or it did in that shot. Vertical looked pretty much okay, which will be good to see. So that means that you get a reasonably long bracket, good against broadside targets. But the ship does just nicely motor on. It is quite tanky. It feels tanky, though not agile, maybe the better description. Here we've got some Mutsuki torpedoes coming in. So it absorbs damage pretty nicely, to be fair. And its guns, they are capable of dealing with enemy ships. I would just make sure that you're focusing on larger ships with those guns, not putting them to waste by trying to clobber destroyers. So that's probably about the strength of the battleship. I would expect to see a few of these doing quite well in the Golden Channel map, places where there's a capped tank, because they are fairly tanky and they're a little bit faster to get there than something like the New York, which often, because of its slow speed, stops just outside the cap, it seems. So so we've got a Mutsuki out there. He is taking pot shots, so we're going to adjust our speed. That torpedo salvo seemed like a pretty distant one. We'll probably see come some more. they taper out very quickly. So he's obviously doing a bit of a circle out there, trying to judge us and get some torpedo shots in before the end of the match, because there's certainly no way that lone Mutsuki is going to be able to reverse the lead that we have. Those spreads came in a bit closer, but with a minute of reload essentially on the Mutsuki, the game taps out or caps out before he can do any further damage. So there we go, the Pyotr Velikiy in battle, pretty steady as she goes. It's not a great sort of, it's not a very agile ship, but it is, capable of holding its own, it seems. And it does get a rewarding number of citadels from my experience with those large guns, those large hard-hitting guns. So you can see here, came top of the table with a reasonable number of badges. All in all, the Soviet line, something to watch. Let's see how it looks going forward.